Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you. Great to have you along as we're joined today by Coach Mike Montano. How you doing, buddy?
Good
to see you. And this episode brought to you by Martin, Jean, and Jackson. So strength and conditioning,
Yes,
it's all encompassing. It's everybody because if you're going to play sports, you better be conditioned and you got to have a little bit of strength to you. And you've kind of been in the role a little bit longer since the last time we talked. So how are things progressing as far as strength and conditioning and that program is going as far as what you guys are doing and how things have gotten better since you've been here?
kids are working hard. And they're seeing a lot of progression in where they're going. Like in a couple weeks, next week actually, we're gonna test our soccer guys, and then the next couple weeks we'll do wrestling before Summer Pride, and because that's the thing is everybody's on board and everybody's coming in on a slot, so that's very, very nice to get that going. Like every sport's going to come in to some capacity and work during the summer, and we've seen a lot of nice progression out of everybody. Everybody, the goal is to get them to jump higher, run faster, and be stronger than most, and it's working so far. This boys wise, everybody has a little bit different workout. Not everybody does the same thing. We do a lot of different things depending on your sport and what they need. But yeah, overall, kids are working hard, showing up day in, day out, doing what they need to do, carrying themselves business-like. So,
And you look at what you got. You got spring sports wrapping up.
yes, sir.
And then for a lot of kids, the boys, that spring sports, someone will wrap up, they're going to go into football with spring football. So talk about, they're wrapping up maybe this week, and you guys will go into spring football, which you kind of got a tentative date. Depends on how some things happen in the postseason.
Yeah.
So is there anything you work on? I would imagine it may be more conditioning to try to get them ready to get the most out of them for spring football when they transition. Because when you're going from sport to sport, it's different.
Yeah.
Strength-wise, okay, yes, there is some difference there, but conditioning is where it really gets you.
Yeah. Of course, there's going to be, you're going to have the kids that are coming straight from sports, whereas you got, the guys that we've ran a little bit, but we ain't just ran them condition them or, do a, time and test, see how many miles you can run this. We haven't done that. But yeah, just the drills and stuff like that we're going to do. It should get them in condition. And the goal of Summer Pride, that's what it's going to roll into,
Yeah.
Pretty much going to have a week off in between spring ball and Summer Pride, or the end of school and Summer Pride. So, we're just trying to get, we're starting out slow, and then we're going to build up to it.
Okay, multi-sport athletes.
Yes, sir.
Is there a difference in what you do for them? Do you have to focus in season, or is it kind of an all-encompassing, knowing that you want to make that transition from one sport to another? You want them to get the most out of one sport, but you also want to be able to transition. So do you have a different approach for multi-sport athletes?
Yeah, it's a little bit different for them, just simply because they're always doing something, and and their workouts change, of course.
Yeah.
You got a basketball kid going from basketball to track. They're different workouts.
Well, and even wrestling. You got a football kid going to wrestling that maybe wanting to cut weight. So.
Yeah, so you got to take that into effect, and then on top of that, just how beat up they are from their sport. You got to take that into effect. I ask kids all the time, because I don't know. I'm not you. So I tell them now, I'm not you. If you're hurting or you need some break, you got to let me know. You got to communicate, let me know, and we'll work some things, and I'll change some things up for you and make it easier on you. But yeah, just depending on how beat up they are, or how long they've been playing, say given sport, they've never stopped, then it's a different deal.
Yeah, and one thing, being around some college sports, I'll talk to some college coaches, and a lot of times college coaches will tell you, especially in football and even some other sports, what's the second most important coach? They'll say strength and conditioning. And one of those is coaches have restrictions during the summers. There's only certain times and camps that they can do things. Mm-hmm. A weight coach and strength and conditioning coach, they can work with those kids more frequently during summer and such. So
Yeah.
a lot of times the coach relies on you to say, hey, what's the work ethic like? What they doing? Are they progressing here?
Yeah.
So the relationship with a strength and conditioning coach is, it is with any coach a year-round deal, but a strength and conditioning is actually able to coach you year-round.
Yeah. That's what, and I mean, I try to emphasize that we me and Amy, we spend more time with the athletes than, most of their coaches. I mean, it is what it is. We do. We're around them all day. I mean, if you coach, like Amy's a cheerleading coach, I'm a football coach. Well, I'm around football year round. Like, I'm never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's around her cheerleaders year round. Same thing with basketball. I'm around the basketball guys when the basketball coach is gone, and so on and so forth. So, the big thing for me is just trying to get that, like you're talking about. I'm communicating with the coaches, but we're trying to build that culture of we're going to show up, we're going to work hard, and we're going to do things right, and we're not gonna settle for mediocrity. Being mediocre, we're gonna try to be the best we can be, and that it takes some time to get to that point. But I mean, I feel like the kids are striving to that.
Yeah, and another thing to ask with coaches, I mean, a coach comes in, it doesn't matter if they're a coach that has seniority and been doing it a long time, or a new coach. A lot of times they played somewhere. They have their own idea of what the strength and conditioning should be. So it's one of those things, you have to work with the coaches to set up the proper program based on what they're trying to achieve as well. And that can probably be tricky sometimes because you're going to have ideas, but they may say, okay, we're thinking more of this. So talk about the relationship that you have to have with other head coaches and how you guys got to work together to get the best for the kids.
I mean, like, for example, me and Coach Steichen, we met before we met to talk about some ideas he had and what he wanted to do for Summer Pride. And, that's a big deal to me because I feel like it's no one knows all the answers. No one. Everybody can say, I got this degree, I got this, I got this, I got this. I mean, you don't know, and not everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to get together and bounce. You've been coaching this for this many years. Bounce ideas off each other's head, and talk about what they want to see out of their kids. Like, for example, when I was writing down the stuff, like, what are your priorities? Like, what do you want to prioritize for your kids this summer? Do you want them to get faster? Do you want them to be able to jump higher? Do you want to mix up everything? Like, what do you want? Because when we sit down and make those workouts and those phases of what we're going to do, that needs to be the first things we do, and then move on to the secondary objectives.
All right, strength and conditioning. I mean, back when I was in school, it was at the smaller schools, it was just kind of a sub thing, right? And now everybody's into it.
Yeah.
Talk about the advances that you think that have been made strength and conditioning in general, because I feel like on a high school level especially, we're seeing the importance of not just winning, but it's also the mentality that you give a kid, not just through sports, but maybe throughout life. And there's just so much benefit that we're starting to learn by having a good strength and conditioning program.
I mean, yeah, I remember growing up, where I grew up in a little small town, and it was, we're gonna do this all the time, 10, 8, 6, and then we're gonna do 5, 4, 4, 3, and we're gonna do it, and that's what we're gonna do. And if you're not getting stronger, it's because you're not working hard enough, and that's not the case. I mean,
and the coaches that didn't know proper weight procedures, so you're doing a deadlift maybe totally wrong than what you need to be doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, you live and you learn, right? So I mean, that's the big deal. Is like, we're sticklers on. We try to get your technique perfect. I mean, and it's not. No one's ever gonna be perfect, but we're trying to get your technique to where it's going right. And you got good movement quality, and you're not hurting for flexibility or anything like that. But teaching it, and then also implementing, like I was talking about, the phases of how we do stuff. Like, for example, hypertrophy phase, and then you go into a strength power, or you go into strength phase, and you go to a power phase. Doing that stuff and changing up the rep schemes and giving them deload weeks, and understanding not only are you training their muscles, you're training their nervous system,
right.
You're training everything in their body. I mean, you're training everything, training coordination, you're training everything. So, back then it was like, well, even 30, 20 years ago, it was like, hey, we're going to go in there, we're going to lift all these weights, and we're going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to do squat, deadlift, and bench. Well, I mean, and then, you know what I mean? And then you got guys that's hurt and they don't have good, they're not very flexible, and then later on in life they have it's not good for them.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the personal story I have. I love my old football coach.
Yeah.
But I remember he wanted to get weights going throughout the year, which you need, right?
Yeah.
And I was playing basketball. Well, we had a big basketball game coming up, go down the lift, and they work us really hard lifting, and I couldn't even get the basketball to the rim the next day.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I think that has gone on in previous years back when I was in school, but that's the thing we're learning now, because it's getting, really the strength and conditioning side's become more of a science than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, talking about sports and stuff, you got basketball playing on Monday and Tuesday, and then you got soccer playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you got baseball playing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's just trying to figure out. And it's not really so much figuring out, like, you got to understand that, hey, even though, yeah, we still want to lift on game days, but we're not going to do the same volume. We're not going to do the same, we're not going to lift 90% of our max on game day. No, that ain't going to be it. We're going to work in between the 50 and 60% range, and we're going to work on moving it fast, and we're just getting it locked in. And, I've looked into a lot of studies, and, there's a lot of strength conditioning professionals, like the college level, that talk about it too. Like it kind of is like a lock in for the kids. You work them out the day of a game, and they do what they're supposed to do. I mean, kind of locks them in for the game, and it's been shown to show their performance goes up, and they stay healthier. They don't get hurt as much, and that's the whole point. You know what I mean? Is we're trying to keep kids healthy, we're trying to keep them strong, and we're trying to keep them playing the sports they love.
And if you can't tell, I quit lifting weights quite a bit after that, especially during basketball season. This guy didn't, though. So
sometimes.
It's different being on the other end of that, though, with coaching, I know. So anything else you want to get out there? I want to turn our attention to one more thing, though, first. Football's coming up. You guys are going to have spring practice, and you're going to have a lot to do with D-line, as always. So talk a little bit about what maybe you're wanting to achieve with your unit during spring practice for football.
For me, my unit, the defensive line, I'm real particular about some things. I'm real particular on their stance, their alignment, and then them understanding their assignment. And that's what I want to get. I want to get the base, like our base coverage, our base like fronts, our base stunts, everything put in before we even roll into camp. That way, when we roll into camp, it's like, you know how to run this. Let's go run it. You know what I mean? And that way I can just sit back and coach the little fine things and get them fixed up as they progress throughout the year.
And with, naturally, it's always a revolving door in high school, right? I mean, you got one that's exited that's a generational type, and you got another one coming in. So.
Yeah, and I'm lucky enough that I have a lot of good kids coming back. I'm going to miss Hud. I'll miss Hoss.
Everybody's going to miss him.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, he was a generational DN. I mean, he was the best in the district almost for 2 years, and most coaches would tell you that.
Yeah.
And the thing is with that is most, you don't really replace somebody like that.
Yeah.
You just kind of try to reload somewhere.
Well, and for him, it's like, guys, like, it's real easy. You pull up film and watch 26 play.
Yeah.
Because that's the standard that you're held to now, right? That's the standard that everybody in this room's held to. No one's above anybody. No one's below anybody.
And not just on the line, in the weight room.
Yeah, and that's the standard. The standard is the standard, and like I said, I'm real happy with the guys I got coming back. Got Avon coming back, Noah.
They got better throughout the year. Noah got in there. So, I mean, you do got guys coming back. Let's just see if they can take that next step, right?
Yeah, and then I got a lot of young guys that are eager to learn. A lot of young guys that are eager to learn and want to get out there and play. And that's part of the battle, right? You got to want to get out there and play. Yeah,
and with spring ball, are you really going to focus more on the fundamentals of type things? That's what you really got to do, right?
Fundamentals, man. Fundamentals, hand placement, stance, how we come out of our stance, where our hands should be, our eyes,
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff, and like a lot of people think we just line up and we're going gaps. No, learn how to slant, learn how to dip and rib, learn how to work moves. What is your leverage as a player? Are you a tall kid? You short kid? Who are you going against? Are they tall? Are they short?
Yeah.
Because Amari might work a different move than Avon Hobbs.
Right. Right.
Simply because Avon can run a little bit. He can too, but he's not. He's also not 6'8".
Right.
And Amari's 6'8". So just depending on who you are as a person, and I try to get them to understand that. And it doesn't click right off the bat, and that's what spring's for. But like when we get into camp and then we get into the season as we progress, that's what I want to work on. You know what I mean? Anything
else you want to get out there before we let you go, man?
No, I'm just excited for the summer, man. Like I said, pretty much every head coach has got a time slot in there for us. They're going to be in there working all summer with us, and just excited to work with all the kids. You know what I mean?
Are you going to be able to get away this summer?
Only during the dead week, and I mean
that one dead week. Yeah.
We're not gonna, like I said, that week before, week in between, school letting out in June. That's you know what I mean, and that's fine with me. I'd rather stay busy, but I'm looking real forward to it.
I mean, I just kind of thought you may be a beach guy, on the beach.
Oh yeah, I wish. I like the mountains.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think you're more a mountain guy.
I like Colorado, and I like going to the Smoky Mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coach, appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, Coach Mike Montano, and appreciate him. Thanks to Chris back there behind the camera. This episode has been brought to you by Martin, Gene, and Jackson. Until next time, for Coach's Corner, Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and go Cats.